do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Oh! Yeah! It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. Mark Order back in action. No Ryan today because he is on the Philadelphia Flyers. And he is rarely in the game. I think he's a water boy. But he is at the Flyers game doing his water boy responsibilities. But you've got Joe. You've got me in the house. We're going to talk about tonight's AEW Dynamite. Very happy to be back here on the Mark Order Podcast. And not with those clowns at Fight Club. I'm done. I'm done filling in for Sean Ross Sapp at his lack of a voice or his being in Vegas, chilling poolside or whatever. I'm here. This is my home. This is where I belong. We're talking some Dynamite tonight. We'll also touch briefly on a couple of things. The WWE releases we'll discuss a little bit, and AEW Redemption looks like a new pay-per-view that has a home in Canada. So we are going to talk about all that. But Joe, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm pretty good, I think. Ryan being a part of the Flyers makes sense since he went to overtime scoreless.
Yeah.
And you being here makes sense because we pay you so much more than you do at Fight Club.
It's true. It's true. At some point, like, I got into wrestling podcasting for the money. I always say that. And I think it's important to realize, like, at the end of the day, every man has a price. So that's what's going on with me. I said, Fight Club, you got to match what the Mark Order pays or I'm out. And they were like, we can't pay anything that steep. But I get it. It is what it is. I'm not in it for the love of the game. I'm in it for the cha-ching. You know what I'm saying? So.
How are you? I feel like it's been a couple of weeks now.
I know. It feels like it's been forever. I am doing well. My May is suddenly filling in a very busy way. I'm going to try and get to ROH in Maryland because that is within driving distance. Going to see if I can get some interviews and also just get to see, like, Nigel versus Josh Woods is like the most cake-coated match in the world. So that I want to see. The first ever women's survival of the fittest I want to see. Shane Taylor in action. Like, there's a lot of matches that I want to see, and I'm going to try and get some work done around it. And then we, of course, have Double or Nothing at the end of the month. And the other thing is, like, I got to go to more indie shows. It's the best vibe, and MJF versus Pat Buck is happening, like, in my backyard at WrestlePro. That also has dear good friend LSG versus Richard Holiday and a bunch of other really good matches. I was like, this is a pretty loaded card. So I was like, I got to get my wrestling ducks in a row. And then May 14th is also my birthday. So I'm like trying to, like, April was WrestleMania TakeOver time. And then I caught my breath and I was like, oh, we're kind of picking right back up in May. But other than that, I'm loving my new spot. I still have to, as you can see, the sincere lack of a kitchen table is an issue back here and a couple more boxes here. But it's coming along. I'm so happy I made this move. Lost a couple pounds having a gym downstairs already. And my new place is, like, above a ShopRite. So, like, my DoorDash bill is not existent now, which is, I had, like, the membership or whatever, and I was like, I'm really not using it anymore because I can just run downstairs, which is amazing. So it's just been a very, like, positive momentum, very busy, but a lot of positive momentum in the world of Kate, which has been refreshing. I am honestly, like, after Mania, sometimes I get so burnt out on wrestling. I'm like, do I like this anymore? And then I was like, no, I do. Like, I had a lot of fun watching tonight's Dynamite. And ironically, WWE, I think, has been better after WrestleMania than it was before. But yeah, feeling kind of refreshed, new energy.
It's better than watching the Yankees, right? I mean,
and what week is it? Because they're either lights out or terrible. Like, it's so feast or famine with them. Better than being a Mets fan. I'll say that, man. That is, I am aging myself here, but the Mets won the World Series the year before I was born. So I can still say that the Mets have not won in my lifetime, which is like a rewarding and fun thing to say. These lights are like insanely bright. I feel like, if you know the It's Always Sunny reference, I'm glowing like an angel over here. But I'm going to scoot back. It's too bright. My face is like all lit up. It's weird. But things are good. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well. I'm about to head out to the Rocky Mountains and spend a few days out there to the land of Casa Bonita.
Hell yeah, that sounds wonderful. You go out to Denver, I feel like, a lot. Like you're out there a decent amount, and it's a good drive.
Yeah, we'll fly in so.
Gotcha. Okay.
It'll be good. Go to Denver and then drive out to the Breckenridge, hang out there for a little while.
Hell yeah. You just want to go to Casa Bonita over and over again. I get it. You want to go down the water slide.
Yeah, and then go to Red Rocks, see a show there. So yeah.
I hope it's amazing. What show are you going to see? Red Rocks was a fantastic experience when I went.
We're going to see Bright Eyes.
Ooh, okay. All right, respect.
Not that we haven't, I haven't seen Bright Eyes enough in Omaha, but
I went to see. It was less about who I was going to see. It's just like such an iconic venue. I wanted to go experience it, especially like I ran a music venue, so it's something I nerd out over. And like the acoustics are legendary there. Like you have to go if you're into this side of music at all. And it was the most fun thing. It was like this Beatles tribute band, and they were amazing. And it was like sold out. Everybody was there for this Beatles tribute band. I think they were filming a documentary. But it was rainy and not nice, and it's weird and dark to get to late at night. And I didn't have a car, and I did not care. I was like, I'm going to this venue. It was actually the day. It was the day Bray Wyatt passed too. Now that I remember, because I had like bought my tickets. I was out there when I met you, for the second time, but like met you out there, and made you sit through an insufferable amount of me deciding over vinyl. But I remember being on Mountain Time and like doing the ROH post show so early, and it was just such a weird. I was like, oh, I'll get to Red Rocks. I'll be a little late, but I'll get there. And then we got the word that Bray Wyatt had passed. It was just like the weirdest day, and to be able to like go to this iconic music venue with just like the happiest vibe, I was like, thank God for that. But well, that's fun. I'm glad you're getting away. You're always up to fun stuff. I appreciate that with you. You're going on adventures a lot. That's a good thing. It's a good way to live your life. Well, let's dive into some wrestling. WWE did their usual bloodbath of cuts, 24 talent cut. A substantial number of those developmental too. But some surprising names on the list. And as always, there is the natural inclination of like, where do they show up next? I feel like Motor City Machine Guns to AEW is probably as big of a no-brainer as you get. I think if Kairi Sane wants to, she certainly could. But we'll see. I would love to see the former Alba Fire, Kaylee Ray, show up. I think she would be great, whether she tagged with Isla Dawn to round out that division more or not, or was a single star. I think she could do some really wonderful things. But this is the landscape, and it's one of those days that's so sad, but you're so glad that there's options. It's just tricky because, like, with TNA being so aligned with WWE, there's not like a proper third alternative. MLW is doing some cool stuff. I think Santos Escobar was a name that a lot of people were eyeing too. I think he probably goes to CMLL, maybe does a dual contract with AEW. I could certainly see that. But Kyrie was the biggest name that I think shocked a lot of people. Aleister Black and Zelina certainly shocked a lot of people, just from the mere perspective of if they were under their original AEW contract, Aleister Black would still have another year left in AEW, which is like kind of funny. So never a good day. Always sucks to cover those days too. But any thoughts on who you'd want to see on the AEW side at all?
No, I think you hit the main ones, and then I think I can people doing either maybe a tiered contract or maybe just a per appearance type of thing. You have so maybe Santos, if he's not doing stuff with CMLL, come over and do something real quick. Rowan has obviously been part of it in the past. He could make some spot appearances. So I can see that happening more maybe with some of the other talent.
Yeah, it's especially interesting because Forbidden Door season, right? Like, you got to wait for the 90 days to be up for the main roster talent. And it would be cool to see Santos Escobar show up on AEW via CMLL. Like, that could just be a cool entry point for some people. I'm really intrigued to see that. Pieces noting that Kaylee Ray would make a pretty good bird that brawls. There's a lot of untapped versatility that you could have with Kaylee Ray, I think. So she is one that I could see being like you said, kind of signed to a tiered deal or like more of an ROH thing or whatever. But there's a lot of interesting ones. I did want to shout out some people in the chat. We've got Big G. We've got Jamie from Perio Magazine. We got Greg Cherry. Some people are shouting out that I'm back, which is very warm and fuzzy. Thank you. Scott George, Matt Rykeel, who I saw you were having a tough day. I'm sorry to hear that. Matthew Hook's in the chat. Our dear Pieces. We got lots of friends. Jesse Ozog will be happy to know that Ryan is not here. But yeah, any thoughts on that? Any other cut thoughts? Do you want to see Alistair and Zelina back? I feel like it's maybe not the right environment at the right time for them. And the talent certainly made their feelings known very publicly. So
I don't know if the locker room as a whole wants them back right now. So
yeah,
I'm sure there are other opportunities they can explore and do some indie circuit for a couple of years if they want to.
It's funny because one other thing that popped up was like Lucha Underground teased a return, and I feel like Zelina and Alistair, Malachi, whatever, would kill it there. Actually, Jamie, and just saying jinx to Jamie in the chat there, I feel like that presentation would click so well for them. MJF pretty publicly stated that he's not interested in having Aleister Black. Sean Dean flat out goes no on Threads. And if Sean Dean's saying it, that's probably not a good sign since he's pretty heavily involved on the talent relations side. But, it's weird. It's like there's such a loaded roster at AEW already. And sometimes like this happens on the American side of things of like the indies get picked bare and then the indies get replenished in unfortunate ways. But like sometimes going to be the biggest act on the indies and making a ton of money at conventions and stuff is not the worst way to go about business. So we will see. Joe, we also have some AEW news that Redemption, a pay-per-view that I gotta assume that Hangman is coming back at, right? Like, Redemption just feels like it's Hanger returning, because he's so Red Dead Redemption coded. But Fightful Select breaking the news earlier today that Montreal looks like the likely landing spot for that. So they are expanding their Canadian footprint, which is interesting. Another pay-per-view does not feel like it's needed, but I'm also not opposed to it. Like, I think at some point they're going to have to probably look at what these cost and start to tier them a little bit differently. But I think a July pay-per-view, because the only other thing that they really run around there until the biggie is like Forbidden Door, which isn't really like an AEW pay-per-view, right? That's an interpromotional all-star game experience. So I don't hate the addition of that because it keeps the AEW specific programming moving. I would love to go to it if it's going to be in Montreal. It's a beautiful area and I want to go see like the turquoise water that's around there. That would be lovely. But I think that I want that to be Hangman costing MJF the title against Kenny Omega. That's what I would do, because Hangman comes back and is like, if I can't have this title, you can't either, fucker. Like, this is where Hangman gets his revenge is what I want to see. What do you think about this new pay-per-view? Do you think we're overloaded already? Do you feel like it fits into the rhythm nicely? Where are you at?
I've always thought that AEW would eventually just have one per month, just kind of an old model of pay-per-views and wrestling. So I'm not surprised they added one. I'm kind of surprised it's taking this long. And there are going to be some of the pay-per-views that are kind of fillers, I guess, for lack of better words.
Sure.
Where it's just kind of a balance between pay-per-view and a TV special. But I think you find a month where, like you said, there's not a lot going on, and you can kind of fill that gap. Sure, especially with some different TV streaming and things like that with MyAEW and some other platforms they have changed.
For sure, and I think that's a good point with MyAEW now, because it's Triller is now dead to AEW, so we will see. We will see if that's the way to go. I don't mind it. I feel like as long as they don't, with the quality that the pay-per-views end up being, it's great. I just, like, if you're going to do this many, they really don't have to be 900 hours long. Like, cut down on the number of matches and rotate the lineups better. But that's all we got on the news front. Let's dive into this episode of Dynamite, because MJF gets punched in the dick. That's how we start this episode, basically. Kevin Knight versus MJF, kicking this off. We did get a video package, but we have MJF dominating early in this. Like, the powerbomb into the barricade I thought was great. Kevin Knight with that springboard offense is always amazing. The MJF rollout to Kevin Knight wiping him out every time, that repeated sequence. Huge crowd pop on a lot of that, but just a lot of Knight fighting through his injured knee and MJF targeting it, which I like because that happens to MJF on the other side a lot. Like, he's a great in-match injury seller. And so I like that MJF's, like, methodical nature of being like, I know how that feels and it sucks, so I'm going to do it to that guy is pretty good stuff. But Kevin Knight hitting the low blow while the referee is distracted. Small package to retain. This is good. MJF is apoplectic. I think he's going to be spiraling his way into Double or Nothing. I'll add in the post-match here and get your thoughts. But MJF attacks Kevin Knight after the match. Darby Allin shows up with the Scorpion Death Drop to MJF, and he demands his title rematch. And I like this from Darby. He shuts it down. Because he's like, why would I do that? Like, what do you have that would make me want to give you a rematch? Like, everybody else but you gets one. And Brody King interrupts, and he declares himself the future champion. So MJF not losing clean, but losing his mind here, I thought was pretty good stuff. Joe, you talk. I'm going to adjust my lighting for 10 seconds because it's fucking ridiculous.
Losing his mind. I think he also might be losing a nut after continuing being low-blown by people. But I'm really interested to see what MJF, if he spirals to desperation, what he'll be desperate enough to say or give up or put on the line for against Darby. So that's intriguing. Overall match was fun to watch. I thought the pacing was really well. I like what they've done with Kevin Knight. I feel like they've really the old strap and rocket to his back. I feel like they've really done that with him to the point of putting a title on him now. Now he's in a world championship match coming up. So I think that's been a really fast ascension in AEW for him. And then I guess to call a spot, I kind of liked MJF's little what I call a dirty dancing cutter, where he kind of lifts Kevin Knight from the air and then does the cutter.
That's so much better than a pop-up cutter. A dirty dancing cutter is fantastic because he's having the time of his life and he really owes it all to us. So I agree. I'm intrigued to see if what MJF has to put on the line is Hangman's allowed to challenge for the title again. I feel like that's way too early to do that, but it's an easy way out of Darby saying, like, clean slate, motherfucker. So I enjoy that. And we move on to a quick squash between the Brawling Birds and Emily J and Jordan Blade. This is over in 90 seconds, but Emily J, someone that is a young talent in the scene and fantastic gal. This was a blink and you missed it, but this is the Brawling Birds continuing their ascension. They're so much fun. Like I'm really bought in on them. I think it's a good tag team. I think they're the ones you want with the momentum going into All In, whether they've like hot potatoed that title back and forth or not, I think is good. I thought Persephone was awesome filling in, but I'm glad to see Jamie Hayter back here. That's good news. Not a lot to analyze on this one, Joe, but I think the tag division for the women, which was very unclear for a while, has really started to take shape here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've seen this before. So they've really done a lot of squash matches with the Brawling Birds, but the only thing that I would have critiqued was being at the back of the match with 90 seconds. I would have preferred like a little bit of after-match promo from them that would have led into. We saw, a little speaking segment with Sky Blue and Tekla right after this. I would have liked, Windsor and Hayter to say something at the end of the match since it was so quick.
I think what you mean is Windsor, but yes, I agree with you. Even though this was a squash, it does get another women's match on Dynamite, and it's not at the 9:30 death slot, which I appreciate. But yes, this was sub 90 seconds, so a promo probably wouldn't have killed you. But we did have that wonderful promo from Tekla and Sky Blue later and Julia. I think Tekla's just become such an incredible promo. Like she just feels very reliable and very buyable as the champion. And I just have a bunch of fun watching her. She is being protective of her triangle here too, which I appreciate. Like she has gold of her own, but she hasn't forgotten about her compadres, which I think is sweet. Did you have anything to say about that promo from Tekla too?
No, I mean, I'm always entertained whenever she cuts a promo. I mean, she is complete peak for a wrestler right now.
She's really just one of my favorite people to watch on television. Between like what she does in the ring, the way she promos, she's just so. I love it when wrestlers are just so sure of who they are, and she knows exactly who she is. Her being like, "Oh, you big bad ladies are so scared of a toxic little spider." Like she's so great. She's so great at that. So good stuff there. We do have women's tag action later, which we will get to. But right now we'll talk quickly about Okada and Ace Austin. This match was awesome. I loved this match so much. I love that Okada got more vicious as it went on, especially toward the end. I thought Ace Austin, they gave him an inch and he took miles and miles. Like this was really, really good. And I like the way it was laid out because Ace Austin gets a lot of offense early in this. You have the DDT, you have his aerial offense in this, but Okada slowing it down, taking over, and then you have Austin kind of like nearly stealing it. And I like when you use high-risk offense in high-risk spots, I really like that in a match. Like if you're going to do daredevil-y moves, it should be because you have an opening to win the match. And that to me is an important piece of the psychology here. But we get the tombstone into the Rainmaker for a clean win here from Takeshita. There is a face-off with Okada, but this was a really strong showing for Ace Austin. I think he really impressed a lot of people. Not that anyone ever, I think, doubted him, but this match was, I thought, a fantastic showing for him tonight. And also, like, Okada just seems like he's having so much fun with this character. So kudos to him. He's having so much fun leading into the crowd and stuff. Good shit. What did you think of this? I thought this was kind of a sleeper that stole my attention for a good amount of the show. Like, I really, really liked this.
Oh, for sure. I didn't know what to expect when I saw the lineup ahead of the show and watching the match unfold. It was so much fun because Okada's facial expressions, even as Ace Austin entering the ring and looking unimpressed to when Ace Austin does the handstand, kind of, smiles and applauds him. That's a lot of fun. And then, before about the pacing, I thought Okada did a nice job of being the, savvy veteran who just waits for Austin to make mistakes and flies on it like he did. This felt very much like a Continental Classic type of match. And wouldn't be afraid to see it run back again.
Yeah, there's been a few of those where you're like, I'm not mad about a best out of 3 here. Wouldn't be mad to see it again, but nice to see Ace Austin getting a chance to show out here, for sure. And then we get a cinematic little promo here with Swerve. Nice to see Swerve back on TV. He was doing some promotional work for Warner Brothers Discovery. He steps into like Bandito's vignette world, and I love that. And he burns a wanted poster for Bandito, and he's really leading into this like power hungry, very calculated persona, which is my favorite version of Swerve, so I will take it. He will just, whether it's a saloon, someone's house, his house got burned, so it feels like now he's gonna bring the fire elsewhere. But I loved this. I thought those vignettes that introduced Bandito or reintroduced Bandito after he was injured were so much fun. I love that they kind of returned to this world. I thought that was a blast. What did you think of our Swerve vignette here?
I had no idea what they were going to do with Swerve when he got back. I wasn't quite sure who they were putting the program with. Not mad at this. Swerve and Bandito, I mean, it's going to cook, so I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where Swerve goes, because I thought the Brody feud was great and doesn't necessarily feel finished. And him being back with his, we have Brodito, right? So I don't know if there's going to be anything like reforming there. Maybe that's how Buddy Matthews comes back in the picture. I don't know. That would be fun. Let's do that if he's healed up. Like, you have Swerve, and he can get some evil guys in his quarter. Versus Brodito and Buddy Matthews, like that would be a blast. I've been waiting for Buddy Matthews to return, and I also like that would be loosely affiliated, like they could all be single stars that band together a little bit. But I'm intrigued to see where that all goes. For sure. Well, this color me intrigued with this Moxley and Ospreay stuff. On Collision, we had. Last week, Will Ospreay was kidnapped by the Death Riders after he lost because he can't feel his neck, or his neck injury is causing him to not feel his arms. And the Death Riders kind of invite him in. And I don't think this is a permanent alliance. I think this is probably a setup for whatever Anarchy in the Stampede match arena stadium thing we're going to get, whatever version of that they're going to do. But I really like this, and I'm wondering if this is what... I keep waiting for, like, what's next with the Death Riders, because it felt like Moxley was a face and everyone else was heel for a while, and then it feels like Moxley kind of went back over to the dark side, but there's still, like, a light dissonance there. And I wonder if this expedites stuff, like if Will Ospreay is an unintentional mischief maker in Death Riders' world. But I'm very intrigued of, like, this idea that Will Ospreay, I've always said, like, since he showed up in AEW, basically a golden doodle. Like, he's a golden doodle who loves wrestling and is one of the most athletic people you'll ever see in the ring. And this is so the opposite of that. Like, is this going to round out Ospreay in a different way? Or is Will Ospreay going to be the one that fucks with the fold of the Death Riders? I genuinely don't know. And I think that's really cool. So I look forward to seeing it. I'm very intrigued. And in this, we have Moxley saying that he'll make him the most dangerous man in AEW, and Ospreay, like, very hesitantly accepts. And it feels like Moxley is building weapons more than, like, aligning with people, which is a cool distinction, in my opinion. What are you intrigued by this? Because I'm like, this is one of the coolest things on wrestling TV to me right now. I'm like, I did not expect this at all. This is pretty cool.
I mean, I think you have to be based on the story coming into this about how he was dead set on revenge after the Death Rider took him out. So why don't you question why all of a sudden is he so go into the fold of the Death Riders and listen to Moxley and so that's very interesting. And I'm confident that whether on purpose or by accident that he becomes the person to take out the Death Riders, and maybe he finds that the way to take out Moxley isn't by kicking the crap out of him, it's by taking what has meant the most to him, and it's not influence of the Death Riders.
That would be cool if Will Ospreay, this was like a long-term revenge plan, would be very sick. Like, he's like accepting and feeling it out, and he like still can't forgive Jon Moxley for fucking up his whole career, so he just starts to get in everybody else's ear. Would be a very, very fun way to go about things. Very, very fun. Let's move on to one of the more obvious matches on the card. Christian Cage and Adam Copeland versus RPG Vice. We did have a very sick Renee Paquette. They have other people backstage. I don't know why she had to work through this tonight, but she interviews Cope and Christian. Christian says that he will accept the I Quit stipulation. And Cope is like, you don't have like the best history of I Quit matches here at AEW. And he's like, I never said I quit. And Cope is like, yes, he did. So we still have this little buddy cop situation going on. But they get the win over RPG Vice here. And you have a spear from Copeland to win it. You have Cage and Copeland attempting that brutal chair spot and kind of teasing the stealing of the tag titles. So continuing down the mountain with FTR. They're obviously looking for gold here. I'm intrigued to see. It sure feels like we're headed toward a TLC match with them and the Bucks. Do you think Motor City Machine Guns just joins this? Like, I think that's very possible that this just becomes a four-way with Motor City Machine Guns.
I mean, more fun's not going to hurt anyone.
Sure.
I wouldn't be mad about that. But, yeah, this match it went longer than I thought it would. I thought it would end after FTR was chased away by the conglomeration. But,
yes.
I enjoyed, Christian was much a man on a mission from the get-go, really, like, trying to take out all the frustrations on Republicans. Much more than I felt like Copeland was. But, yeah, I don't know. I think the one thing I noticed that surprised me the most in the match wasn't even the wrestling itself. It was Rick Knox actually seeing something during the match when he talked a few in the room. So, like, this is Rick Knox doing this match?
Shout out to Rick Knox for developing in his career in the later stages here. Kudos to him. Kudos to him. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us and chatting along today. We appreciate it. Jezzy Ozog, we see you there. Scott George, Jamie, all y'all. Pieces hanging out. Greg Cherry, Big G, who was like very excited we were back. I know our schedule is a little inconsistent sometimes. So we appreciate when you guys hang out with us week over week, whatever we can be here. But we've got our second women's match of the night. The Divine Dominion versus Statlander and Sheeta. Sheeta has been so much fun since coming back. This is some of my favorite character work that we've gotten from her, of like her being two-faced depending on what language she's speaking. I think is like a very clever way to reintroduce this character. Like, she just talks bad shit in Japanese, but is like kind of a standard face when she's not doing that. But this was fun. This was power versus speed. You had Chris Statlander, who's a fun hot tag, 450 to both champions. And Sheeta almost steals this with the Falcon Arrow. That was a really nice near fall. But the double chokeslam on Sheeta and Divine Dominion retain. I think they've been undefeated since Lena Cross joins, which makes sense to the champions. But this was fun. I really liked a lot of this. This was some powerhouse work, but like they moved with a lot of gusto. Like it wasn't like a slow plodding match. Like this had some fun, fast-paced movement in it. So I had fun with this. How are you feeling about Shida being back and the relationship with Statlander, as well as what we've got going on in this match?
I mean, that's really the story. I mean, this match is here to move the story along, but I'm interested to see how Statlander has her character is becoming being a loner for a while, and then tagging and becoming part of Willow and Harley for a while, and opening yourself to being tagging with friends again, leads to Shida, which now we have this weird contention between these two of she's trying to help Shida not use the kendo stick. Shida is probably going to feel like she's being held back. So I'm interested to see that whole dynamic play out. Meanwhile, you have Megan Bay and Leon Cross. I mean, they look like they've been tagging for
they're very comfortable.
I mean, it looks like it should have been the tag team from the get-go. No, without disrespecting Penelope, but I mean, something that works for them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because they're just like speaking the same language from a stature standpoint or what, but like there's something really organic about the way that they work together, and it's really fun. It's really fun. I adjusted my lighting and nothing happened, so we're going to be making some long-term adjustments in the near future, but you're just going to get me glowing over here like I have a flashlight under my face for the next little bit. But we have oh, that's sweet. Like I'm just glowing. We have Kylie joining us in the chat. Hi, Kylie. We love you here. Another squash. I am team more squashes. I used to not be, but I think it's important to keep people's momentum going. And when you have people like Roosh, the absolute destruction of this. Easy win. If you mess with Roosh, you get the horns. This was Roosh putting a bunch of people on notice, which is very fun. We also get a backstage with Samoa Joe calling out Will Ospreay and the Death Riders, and him saying that the Death Riders are going to drag him backwards. Everybody wants Ospreay. Nobody trusts where this is headed. What did you think of our Roosh squash, and what do you think of Samoa Joe calling out Will Ospreay?
You know, much like Kale, I don't need squash all the time.
Fair.
So, I get it. I get why you do it in this instance for Roosh, because, I mean, he kind of come back recently. That's fine. It is what it is. The Ops trying to also recruit Ospreay. I'm interested how that is out. If you're going to get the Ops versus Death Riders, connection. Also, I just want to see as many factions come to Ospreay. And I want to see Ospreay do, a high school kid committing to a college. I want all the hats on the table. I want Ospreay to pick a faction. And then after a year, go into the transfer portal and find another one.
I don't hate that, honestly. That's not the worst. I'll take it. Everybody should want Will Ospreay as a part of their group, so I do like this. I think maybe he'll remember through this that he's a leader. Like, he's the leader of United Empire, and that will cause some friction with Callum Newman. If you are up on some New Japan lore, I'm not even that up on my New Japan lore. I have some catching up to do in New Japan world, but I think that could lead to some good stuff. We do also have a challenge with Orange Cassidy, and we get Dax versus Orange Cassidy set for next week. An introduction of Tommaso Ciampa as an ally in this, and a trios title ambition is teased. I think that's a really cool kind of alignment, and Ciampa's been so great since coming over, and they have so much history. It also leaves the door open for if Johnny Gargano wanted to come over. But, FTR should be interested in Ciampa because they have had such a storied history, and Ciampa has been getting so close and not quite there. And he's been so great, man, since coming over. Like, that match with Darby last week where he's, kissing MJF on the cheek, and that promo he gave that was so vulnerable, and the way that he walked down the ramp after he lost, you knew this was leading somewhere. I didn't think it was leading here. I find that very, very interesting. It also tells you that FTR is probably not going to be the champions for too much longer, which makes you kind of wonder why they didn't put it on Kobe Christian in Canada. But all right, not mad about it. How did you feel about all of this FTR biz?
I'm glad they have an outline for them, so after they drop the title, they can maybe go after a trio championship with Ciampa. And I do like your idea of of them align themselves with Ciampa, and if they have a falling out, then maybe Ciampa down the road can call a friend. But
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought there for a minute. I have to wait for it to come back
Dax
around.
and OC,
Yeah.
Ciampa, anything jogging your memory?
No, I mean the Dax and OC thing. It'll be a good match. I mean, yeah, it's just to set up the trios match. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any more thoughts really fleshing on that.
There's not a lot to analyze on that. That's pretty much all they gave us, but some good stuff. We're already headed into the main event. This is uncharacteristically pithy of me leading a show. We don't usually go sub an hour, but we'll take it. We'll take it. There's a lot of... It's nice with AEW because the focus is so match heavy that, like, you kind of just fly through these things. I feel like so much faster than WWE. But we get Darby Allin versus Brody King for the 5th time. This was brutal and chaotic. From the beginning to the end, you had the Avalanche Code Red, which is always incredible. The double stomp through the chair spot. You have the choke slam on the apron. You have the table destruction and the exposed floor. Those exposed floor spots always get me. Multiple coffin drops. The third one is the one that keeps Brody down. Darby Allin retains. Kevin Knight was watching for the crowd. It feels like we're getting a possible next challenger there. I was not a fan of Darby Allin winning. If they were going to make the decision to strap him up, this was the way to do it. Like this feels like the way to go, is to have him be a fighting champion with a ton of defenses in a short time where he's getting his ass kicked, but being unkillable, improving himself to be a worthy champion. My guess is until Double or Nothing. I think Max beats him at Double or Nothing in a longer, more real match. But if you were going to make the decision to do this with Darby, which I wasn't like the biggest fan of, this is the way you do it. Like he should be having defenses against tough sons of bitches like Ciampa and Brody King to prove to himself and to, quite frankly, a segment of the AEW audience, a little bit self-included, that he is a main event world champion material guy. I don't know if it's gonna win me over entirely, but these matches for the match versus Ciampa last week was the most interesting match he's had in a long time. I can't even say that though, because the match against Andrade was also very good. So it's more with him, like, I just want to see them agent these things differently, and we're getting more interesting match productions in this title reign. So I will take it. Not my favorite move, but if they're gonna do it, this is the way to do it. How did you feel about this match, and how are you feeling about World Champion Darby?
World Champion Darby, I like the idea of him being the fighting champion, and him basically himself into the ground. It'll probably be his downfall, but it fits who he is. It fits his character. So I understand that part. The match itself is fun because being that they face each other so many times, they've had different dynamics, whether it was Brody being a heel or them in different spots, but nothing quite to this level where you have a championship on the line. So it's a new dynamic to a match we've seen a couple of times now between them. I guess a few of the notes were like, I thought Darby sold the Lariats really well because of his size.
Yes.
Every time Brody laid into him, I thought Brody had the most polite announcer's desk clearing ever. Apologized for me.
It was very sweet of him, yeah.
Yeah. I really thought we were going to get a call drop onto that desk, on that table, but we did not.
Is it worse or better? Why am I
You're right.
glowing so much? This is a little
Now
better.
Now you look like you're a float tub.
I wish. If I was just all like cozy like that, that would be amazing.
The only thing I noticed is this usually exposed floor. It felt like it was kind of another title defense when Darby didn't necessarily cheat, but like he definitely used a shortcut to help them get the advantage. Whether it was, the low blow MJ to help him hit multiple coffin drops, or it's tonight where he very intentionally pulled up this padding to use it to then land multiple coffin drops. So that was interesting to see him continuing to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if someone will call him out on that. Of like, you've always needed to give yourself an upper hand in some way. You can't just like win a wrestling match, and see how that goes. Because it's a good point. The low blow last week, or against Max, I should say, felt like so earned because of the way that feud was built. But it is him essentially cheating, which MJF continues to dine out on, which I think is funny. And then this, like, I think AEW has said it's kind of like an all bets are off thing, but I think that's a fair perspective for a challenger to have of like, beat me without having to give yourself some sort of leverage is a good way to go. A good way to go. But that was our main event. And then Kevin Knight is watching from the stands. It certainly feels like that got teased to be a champion versus champion match. I doubt both titles will be on the line, but I think that's a good way to go about business. I'm very intrigued. I feel like if you beat MJF and you're champion, that's enough reason for me to buy that you get a title shot. Like, you beat the person who was just champion. You have your own title. This has been interesting stuff with Kevin Knight. I'm intrigued to see what kind of happens down the road there, but that's pretty much our episode.
Okay, let me ask you then, now that we've cycled through this whole show, this very Battle of the Belts show with 4 title defenses.
It was.
How much fun did you have with the show?
It's so kind of you to ask, because not everyone has their own fun scale. I would give it a solid, if I'm rounding up funds, I would say a solid 4 out of 5. To be precise, it would be probably a 3.97 out of 4, or out of 5 rather. But, if we're in the Tokyo Dome, it would be.
I can't even find the graphics.
Oh, no.
What did you say it was? Sorry.
I would say a 4.
Oh, 4.
4.
Wow.
Yeah. I will say a 3, though, because it's my favorite one of the Ryan faces. So, that one kills me. It's a good time. It's a good time. So my heart says closer to a 4, but for the sake of the huge pop that I get from the 3, I'm turning it a 3. How many funds did you have?
No, I'm kind of where you're at. I'm
somewhere between a 3 and a 4.
Yeah, I'm probably closer to a 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I can watch all of them. I haven't seen them all. I haven't seen.
Yeah, let's go through.
A healthy dose of fun for the new people who are new to this.
A healthy dose of fun. An excitable amount of fun.
I've seen 3. Yeah, 4. There was a special really fun time.
Oh, that's if we're in England, right?
Yeah, there's like a bloody guts match. And then we have the Kate special.
This garbage is not for me. No fun. I wonder, is there anything on AEW that's... no, because I don't even hate the Jericho stuff right now. I don't know if there's anything that is a hard, no fun trash fire.
No, not right now. It's actually been kind of hard for that.
Yeah. Jamie had 4 funds. Jesse is alarmed by our scale. Makes sense.
For fun.
I get it.
It's fun.
Is there only, for some reason, I thought there were 5 funds. Is there only 4?
No, for some reason I only have 4. I think because I ran out of facial expressions from Ryan. I don't know.
Very possible, and like it's technically 0 to 4, so that's kind of 5. You know what I mean? So.
There you go.
Well, we discussed this Dynamite. We discussed the releases. We discussed the new AEW Redemption pay-per-view that's coming up in July. We discussed Joe is off to the Rocky Mountains, like the mountain man that he is. I'm in my new apartment. Got a busy May coming up. We thank everybody for joining us in the chat today. This was a shorter episode from us, but that's what happens when you take Ryan out of it, when he's water boy for the Flyers. Like, we finished 20 minutes earlier because he's not singing songs and doing bits. I'm a very serious podcaster, so. But Joe, and people were like, I like this Joe fella. I want to learn more. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on social media still at _Asian Joe, and my quest for new cereal continues because I am still striking out.
We gotta get Joe some cereal recommendations for his cereal blog, so go ahead and do that. Send some recommendations his way. You can catch me at Fight Club, at Fightful YouTube, a lot of days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Friday. You can catch me on my own channel where I did an unanticipated insomnia stream that I did not plan, but I couldn't sleep. So I thought my apartment was haunted. I saw some like white orb fly. It's probably a tuft of Daphne's hair in reality, but you can catch me on social media at Miss Kate Babe. There is more stuff coming up. There is more non-wrestling stuff coming up. It's very important to me that I have this channel rebooted by my birthday. So we are aiming for early May to be back up and running, but I'm excited to bring some more content. It's important to have exploring grounds on my own outside of Fightful and here, because this is just such a constrained environment. You know what I mean? So we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week, and I will leave the production to Joe. Whether he wants to narrate it or just be good at it is up to you. I
can narrate like Ryan, so.
Okay.
Feeling suck my balls. There's the outro. Where's the sound? Nope. Background music. Here we go. Oh, the Flyers suck. Here we go. Outro.
This concludes the Mark Order podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.